Peace and harmony here with you today. Again, want to go over some of the aftermath or the PTSD symptoms after dealing with a narcissistic abuse. Kind of the first, I would call it the first stage of recovery after exploiting the narcissist. Oftentimes, first learning about it, you're in a state of trauma. And it's not being drama like, oh my gosh, this guy, and I broke up. It's more than that. Sorry about that. It's more than that. It's more than just going through a breakup. It's actually coming through the realization that you have been completely lied to, completely conned, completely treated in an utmost violation in terms of having opened your heart to this person, believing their lies, believing their falsehoods, believing their mask, taking their mask as real, and even just learning that there's this type of person that exists can be extremely stressful, devastating, and leave you really with the effects of feeling like post-traumatic stress syndrome. Post-traumatic stress syndrome, you might hear of it in people who have been abused in childhood. It's very difficult for them to function as adults after having gone through really severe childhood cases, maybe being, like you hear these horrific things, locked in a closet, locked in a garage, forced to starve, being physically abused, being burned, being relentlessly scolded, hit with branches, hit with, rulers, breadboard. I mean, all this stuff becomes very difficult to endure, especially if you can imagine the mindset of the child who really is looking up to their parents and idealizing them for care, and here they come and, treat them just like some sort of whipping post. And it's oftentimes, it's very common for sufferers of child abuse or such past trauma to go through what is called post-traumatic stress syndrome. When I want to dive a little bit more in deep to that, oftentimes you can get people who have flashbacks into their childhood trauma, even if it's been 40 years, 50 years, these people are still recalling what their parents did to them, and they just hate the fact, and they'll cry sometimes, they'll be at a party and, having a couple of cocktails, and they'll just be bursting out into tears, and, and they'll tell you, I know I should be over it, right now, but it really upset me that, I was treated this way, and she did this, and they did that, and it's very scarring. I think that's the word I'm looking for when it comes to post-traumatic stress syndrome. It's a very scarring situation, and you can heal with it. And how you kind of get to the other side, which is the really exciting part here, guys, because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort and commitment, concentration, and really the willpower. And the more you work on it, the sooner the better, but you will get there. But, getting through the other side of post-traumatic syndrome, PTSD, and some of the symptoms associated can really be a wonderful thing, because a lot of times people, they could never have imagined their life without this sadness, without these flashbacks, without it feeling part of who they are. And, as we're discussing, some of the symptoms of PTSD can be, very, very devastating. It's difficult for you to get up. It's difficult for you to stop crying. People keep replaying the event in their mind. They continue to hear the things that these people said. They continue to see what was going on, when they were with this person. And they have a very difficult time separating from this and getting it out of their body, getting it out of their emotional body, getting it out of their spirit and out of their aura. They feel like they're almost losing control. They feel a sense of lack of control. And as I was saying in a previous video, our U.S. veterans it's very common for them to be plagued with PTSD after being through shell-shocked situations where they've served our country in war-torn areas, and they come back with PTSD, feeling completely annihilated, devastated. They continue to hear the bombs, they continue to hear the gunfire, they continue to hear the screams. They wake up at night, they have flashbacks, they have night sweats. It's continuing to run in their mind, even though there's no immediate fear around them. There's no threat of danger. They're back at home in the U.S. and they can't function. Oftentimes they need sedatives. They need antidepressants. They need oftentimes antipsychotic medications. Oftentimes they're going inpatient and outpatient. It's very common in our VAs that you've got very strong social work staff there to help these people. They need coaching, they need counseling. Oftentimes they need different therapies, art therapy, they need inpatient, and as I discussed in a previous video, it's very important for you to understand that you can get through this. Your mind is just trying to process really the trauma that you've just witnessed and experienced. And it's a horrible thing for a great person who has so much going for them, who didn't ask for this, who willingly took somebody in, loved them, cared for them, or maybe it was even a family member who is the narcissist, their mother or their father, who has the very sole purpose, the most important job on this earth, which is to keep them safe, which is to feed them, which is to clothe them, which is to protect them and to guide them, that they completely have exploited their children in the raising and rearing of them and have used them for their own purpose, used them for their own goals, and have completely not accomplished or achieved really the fundamental and basic provisions the child deserves. So oftentimes, children who are victims of child abuse, as well as narcissistic emotional abuse, will encounter these, post-traumatic stress syndromes, PTSD. And, the victim of the child abuse is also considered to have a more complex form and of the PTSD, because, and this might apply also to the narcissist, because one of the differentiating factors is in child abuse, as well as oftentimes the PTSD and living with a narcissist, interesting enough, is you're forced to live with your captor. You're forced to live with your torturer. You're forced as a child, or if you're, married to a narcissist, you're forced to live with them. You're cohabitating with them. You're in a committed relationship. You're in a committed living space, and your tormentor is living with you, and you have, like as a child or as a spouse, you have no foreseen way to get out of their, to get away. You do not see escape possible. So for example, the veteran of our U.S. States, they may know that that their Navy buddies, they're going to be rescued, and eventually they're going to get to go home and live in peace. Oftentimes though, the child of child abuse or the spouse of the narcissist, they are actually living with their captor. They're actually living with their tormentor. And oftentimes what makes it so complicated in terms of their PTSD is they have no sense of, I can escape. And so it creates another complexity of their symptoms. So, these symptoms of feeling like you're having flashbacks, you're feeling sad, you feel, like you can't, stand on your own 2 feet. You're feeling like you can't care for yourself. It might be difficult to eat. It might be difficult to sleep. These are very serious symptoms, and I just want to give you faith and courage that it will get better. I do have good news for you, that will go away with time. You just have to really, really get centered with yourself and pray, and really know that you do not ever want to go back into that situation again. You do not want to be, Jerry Springer's new guest, because, you're sick of of living in that torture. Excuse me, I have an itch. You know, that is not you. You know, fighting until 4 in the morning, having fights, you know, listening to lies anymore, trying to, you know, listen to the lies and process them and forgive. You know, once you've done that a couple times, no matter how, I mean, the longer you've been with this person, it's probably going to be the more difficult for you to, you know, pull through, or a little bit more time. You know, you know, generally for every year that you've been with this person, I would say it's going to take 6 months to return to normal. So that's why you absolutely positively have to get out of the vicinity and proximity of this person. As I always say, it's a tough pill to swallow. Sometimes it's very incomprehensible. A lot of confusion comes with it, but you know, these symptoms are going to reside. They are going to get better and better. It's very intense when you first go through it. You feel like you're going crazy, and just remember that you're not going crazy. You did nothing wrong. Your body is just your body and mind, but your body also, I mean, if you've been in a physical relationship with them, your body is trying to process the crazy making that you've just been through. It literally is not palpable. It literally is not comprehensible on a human level. And that's, I think, you know, it's the self-protective, it's the spirit, and it's your true guardian angels that are working through you, and you're working at this like really high vibration of distress, and it will get better. Just keep yourself calm, keep yourself surrounded by good music. I would say support groups as much as you can. You know, watching videos here on YouTube as much as you can, going to blogs on narcissistic support as much as you can. You're going to have to go full-time into your recovery if it's been, you know, some time with this narcissist. And the PTSD, those traumatic symptoms will reside, you know, will resolve in you, and you'll begin to feel happy again. Take yourself out for an ice cream. Take yourself out for a walk. You know, begin to go to some beautiful places that you personally cherish and love. Try to get a little bit of exercise. You know, get yourself just, you know, a fresh glass of iced tea, of lemonade, something refreshing, some really healthy juice, you know, a smoothie, and just go for a walk, take a deep breath, and have some compassion for yourself. Peace and harmony will resolve. Love you. Please subscribe for more tools, for more support and discussion here on this channel. Love you.